Men, listen closely. If you felt underestimated, dismissed, or stuck on the sidelines, this is for you. The world doesn't reward spectators, it crowns builders. Tonight, we start building you. Welcome back, gentlemen. This is Rim High, the place where men rebuild themselves. When you become disciplined, focused, and unbreakable, every part of your life rises. Before we begin, ask yourself, who built your world? Men the system dismissed. Stay with me. If you've been underestimated or told to wait your turn, listen. Tonight, we're not memorizing, we're building you, the man who leads, decides, and wins. Stay with me. Henry Ford, when the system tried to embarrass him. Most men don't realize how deeply the world was shaped by people never approved by the school system. They walk through cities, drive on roads, and use technologies built by minds the system called broken, slow, or unworthy. These were outsiders, rebels, men who saw the world not as it was, but as it could be. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Napoleon Hill were not A students, not trained by universities, and not praised by teachers. They were rejected, underestimated, mocked, and dismissed. Yet they built foundations of the modern world. They weren't given a seat at the table, they built a new table and, with it, a new reality. Their legacy proves a power formal education often fails to recognize, let alone cultivate. Here is the truth they don't want you to grasp. The men who changed history didn't follow the system. They escaped it, outgrew it, and outsmarted it. They knew the map institutions provide is not the territory of real achievement. The system is designed for maintenance and predictability. Real world-altering progress comes from disruption and from the courage to leave the well-trodden path and forge your own. Take Ford. He couldn't answer basic school questions, yet he built the first automobile assembly line, a revolution in logistics, mechanics, and human organization that put the world on wheels. He didn't need to recite dates. He needed to understand systems, efficiency, and the nature of work. His genius wasn't storing facts, it was seeing connections others missed. Consider Edison. He had only 3 months of schooling, yet he created the electric light that powers every city on Earth. He didn't just invent a bulb, he designed the infrastructure to support it. While others were content with gas lamps, he imagined entire networks. His mind was a laboratory of relentless curiosity where failure wasn't an end, just data. And Hill, raised in poverty, uncovered the laws of success used by every millionaire. Without formal training in philosophy or psychology, he codified achievement by studying the greatest minds of his time. He turned the abstract idea of success into a concrete, repeatable process. The pattern is clear. School teaches memorization, life demands organization, success requires application, the system rewards what you can recall, the world rewards what you can create. One is a closed loop of regurgitation, the other is an open field of innovation. That disconnect leaves many educated men feeling powerless while self-taught men build empires. At Rim High, men rebuild themselves daily. When you become disciplined, focused, and unbreakable, every part of your life rises. This isn't about rejecting education, it's about transcending its limits, building the man the system could never produce, self-directed, resilient, and powerful. Consider Henry Ford again. Barely educated, he was mocked as ignorant by journalists until he sued them. During the trial, attorneys tried to humiliate him with random trivia like, who was Benedict Arnold? And when was the Revolutionary War? They believed exposing his lack of rote knowledge would invalidate his achievements, treating intelligence like a parlor game of facts. Ford replied calmly, "If I want information, I can summon men who will provide it in 5 minutes." With that, he shattered the lie that intelligence equals memorization. He drew a line, the old world of passive learning versus the new world of active, organized intelligence. He wasn't a library of facts. He was an architect of systems. The judge ruled in his favor. The court and the world had to admit that a man's worth isn't measured by trivia he can recite, but by value he creates. Ford's victory wasn't just personal, it was a philosophical win for every man who builds, creates, and leads. Ford proved you don't need to know everything, you need to know how to use everything. Power isn't having all the answers in your head, it's access to them. It's assembling a team, delegating, finding experts, and connecting the dots. That is the intelligence of a general, not a foot soldier. Then there's Thomas Edison. A teacher wrote, "Your son is addled, he cannot learn," so his mother pulled him from school and taught him at home. The system saw a deficit. She saw potential, a fire to be nurtured. She refused to let a narrow institution define his future and built a school of one around curiosity and experiment. Edison patented more than 1,000 inventions: electric lighting, motion pictures, recorded sound. He became so influential that Ford admired him, and Hill studied him. He didn't merely contribute, he rewired the world, idea by idea, patent by patent. Edison proved the same truth. School measures memory, while greatness measures imagination, action, and persistence. The classroom asks, what is the right answer? The inventor asks, what is the right question? One path ends in a grade, the other ends in a patent that changes history. Napoleon Hill interviewed Ford, Edison, Carnegie, Rockefeller, and more than 500 millionaires, and discovered what school ignores. Knowledge is not power. Organized knowledge is power. These titans didn't collect information for its own sake. They acquired it with purpose, organized it into plans, and applied it with persistence. School fills your mind. Life demands you use it. That's the difference between a library and a workshop. A library stores information. A workshop transforms raw materials into value. Today, the world is drowning in information, but starving for wisdom. Organized knowledge means keeping what matters, ignoring what doesn't, applying what works, combining skills, building networks, creating strategy, and turning ideas into action. It is signal over noise, a mental framework where each new piece has a place, a purpose, and a connection to your mission. This is the architecture of achievement. This is how Ford dominated industry, how Edison changed history, and how modern millionaires still rise. They don't get lost in irrelevant data. They identify the core drivers of success and focus their energy there, building systems in their businesses and in their minds. Meanwhile, the school system, shaped by John D. Rockefeller's Board of Education, was designed to create workers, not leaders. Rockefeller openly said, "I want a nation of workers, not thinkers." The goal wasn't to foster innovators who might challenge the order, but to produce a compliant workforce for factories and corporations. So school teaches you to sit, listen, memorize, obey, and repeat, often punishing creativity, independence, ambition, leadership, and problem solving. It trains you to wait for instructions, color within the lines, and seek approval. The bell rings, and you move. The test arrives, and you regurgitate. That is employee training, not owner training. This is why Ford, Edison, and Hill built themselves outside the system. They understood that an environment made for followers can't forge a leader. They created their own curriculum, their own tests, and their own standards, measured not in grades, but in real-world results. Real power comes not from random information, but from learning what matters, organizing it, applying it consistently, and repeating it with discipline. This is self-mastery, the deliberate work of building your mind, skill by skill, and habit by habit, until you become the man who can achieve his mission. There are men with degrees who cannot lead, and men with no formal schooling who build empires. The difference is organized knowledge. One man has a certificate on the wall, the other has a system in his mind. One waits for permission, the other creates his own mandate. That is the divide. To apply this, build a knowledge map with pillars like money, mindset, business, discipline, and skill. Don't consume content randomly. Be strategic. For each pillar, list essential knowledge, required books, must-have skills, and mentors to learn from. Turn learning into a project with clear goals and outcomes. Form a mastermind circle like Ford and Hill. Surround yourself with men who know more than you in different fields. Your growth accelerates through collective intelligence. A single mind is limited. A network aligned on purpose is unstoppable. This is Ford's idea of summoning men modernized. Focus on one mission. Ford mastered cars. Edison mastered innovation. Their commitment created empires. Don't be a jack of all trades and master of none. True mastery, the kind that commands respect and creates value, comes from deep, focused effort in one direction. Choose your mountain and climb. Persistence is essential. Edison failed 10,000 times before perfecting the light bulb, saying, "I did not fail. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work." Each failure was a lesson, one more dead end removed, one step closer to success. This mindset turns obstacles into training. Ford went bankrupt twice. Hill faced years of rejection. Their stories aren't fairy tales of effortless success. They are accounts of struggle, setback, and the will to endure. They faced ruin and ridicule, but they refused to quit. Persistence is masculine power. Persistence is destiny. It grinds mountains to dust. It is the decision to rise one more time than you are knocked down. Without persistence, intelligence, skill, and ambition are wasted. You don't need a degree, the system's approval, or anyone's validation. Your power doesn't come from a piece of paper. It comes from discipline, focus, and the ability to organize your mind and direct your will toward a single, worthy purpose. You need organized knowledge, masculine clarity, one mission, a strong circle, and unstoppable persistence. This is the formula, the code Ford, Edison, and Hill lived by. It is the timeless path to a life of meaning, impact, and power. Drop your vision or next goal in the comments so we can build momentum together. If this message inspired you, like and share the video so more men can rise with us. Your declaration is the first step. Let this community be the start of your mastermind circle. The world was built by men like these. The future will be built by men like you. The question isn't whether you are capable, it's whether you are willing to do the work.